Okay, we are live. We are live. All right, let's do this thing. Okay, I'm so excited. Today is the very first day we're doing a interview online like this with this new technology. It is such an honor. We come together each day to know the truth and to live on spiritual principle. As you guys know, I'm Dr. Erin. I'm a doctor of divinity. I am here. My mission is to help the people that are the good doers out there, the people that are making a difference in the world, and of course spiritual coaches and anybody that is desiring to have a business or product for the highest good. One of my missions is not only awakening people to the truth of who they are, but my mission really is helping them also claim their birthright of prosperity through their business and developing them in their personal and professional life. So today I'm very honored because our brands are so important in what we're doing, because I truly believe that our brands actually represent us. They represent our truth. And as we know, if we want to live our truth, it has to go through all areas of life. So today I have Mike Young here. He is a dear friend of mine because we've been doing business for quite some time now. He is a business master and brand master. He has helped me with Good Morning La La Land. He's helped us develop Society, the actual website, logos on those things, everything. And he's taught me a lot about branding and makeovers and what to do and what not to do on websites and things like that. So Mike, I'm so happy you're here. How are you?
Aaron, it's my pleasure. I'm great. It's we're blessed. We're blessed to be here and have freedom, right?
Right? Oh
So
my gosh. How are you doing in the quarantine? Speaking of.
I I'm doing great. My hair is out of control. My beard's a little out of control, but everything's great.
Nice. Okay, good. I want to just make sure that we're getting sound out there. I'm pretty positive we are. It's looking all good, but I just want to double check since we're live. It's looking
Sure.
good. Okay, great. Okay, so let's begin. First of all, I want to just dive right into it because we only have like less than 30 minutes. And so I want to cut right to the chase, okay? So there's basically, we've been talking about it, that there's three issues or three primary reasons why businesses are getting stuck or are not able to scale. Can you break those down for us?
Yeah, I mean, every business owner that comes to me and they say I'm frustrated, I'm stuck, whatever, it always comes down to the basic three things, which is they're either not attracting enough leads into the business or they're attracting the wrong leads consistently. So they spend a lot of time with people that should have never been leads in the first place, or they're not able to close the leads that they get. And I think it's important that
So say those one
people
more
under
time.
what
One, two, three. Say them one more
what?
time.
Yeah, number one, they're not attracting enough leads. Number two, they're attracting a lot of the wrong leads. So they waste time on the wrong leads. Number three, they're not able to close the leads that they get.
Okay, great. So one of the things that you probably helped me the most in is the old school way, with I see with myself and with so many kind of solo entrepreneurs when they started out, when I started out like years and years ago. We got these websites that had our bio, our picture, all about us. It told us everything we've ever done since we were in elementary school. It links to everything. It's just like this big blob of information that doesn't actually take people through a very simple process with one call to action, and with taking them in thinking what's in it for them, instead of them looking at like, oh, I'm somebody special and you should work with me.
Yeah, yeah. I think one of the things that people get confused about is that there's all these buzzwords today, like personal branding, and you need a personal brand and all this stuff. But it's like the fundamental basics of what a brand actually is, which is just the fact that who you think you are and who the market thinks you are, those things actually match. So
It's
when you get that right, you have a strong brand because people aren't confused with who you are. And when it comes to websites being the hub, like you're talking about, so many people, I call it spilling your marbles in the lobby. They throw up so much information on their landing page or whatever that it confuses people on how to begin a new relationship. And the hub, you need to think about the brand and the things you're putting online entirely for new prospects running into you for the first time.
right.
Because if I know you and know where to contact you or your assistant or know where to buy from you, I don't need that information again. And so your website and your hub is almost built entirely for new prospects. And if you tell them too much information, they don't know where to begin a relationship with you.
It's so true. One of the things that you taught me, and I've learned over the course of years, like over the course of many, many years, is when you come to a website, the first thing is like within 2 seconds, someone should be able to think, what's in it for me?
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that when, because I think that there's so much to branding and you do so much for people, everything from logos to websites to getting their kind of congruency of colors to congruency of their message to whatever. But let's just take it down to basics, like, because
Sure.
I think that that's one of the biggest things with brands that you've taught me is coming to the brand. What should it say? For example, what are some things that can say right in the headline that would be an example of a brand that's solving a problem, that's saying what's in it for the person coming to the website?
Yeah, so if you think about your brand and your visuals being for new prospects, the copy should be written to them, not about you. It should be I help entrepreneurs grow, or maybe I help entrepreneurs build and grow their business. And the copy needs to be dead simple and use the words that they're using in their head, not yours. But say I help entrepreneurs tap into their most greatest energy and align and manifest their dreams and desires. It kind of doesn't make sense to most normal people that if too confusing in the copy. So like we talked about the three issues, like not having enough leads or attracting the wrong leads. There's hundreds of reasons those get created, but it comes down to four basic problems. Number one is the copy is off. The copy and the offer is off. It doesn't make sense to new users. Number two is credibility. So you have credibility issues. People look at your stuff and they don't believe that you do what you say you do. Number three is that people massively confuse the process and a flow of what a new prospect needs to do first, second, third. So what I mean by that is that sometimes I see people that have 112 steps when there only needs to be 7. Or the other thing I see is that people go too quickly after the sale. So they have 2 steps, like, we've all been hit up in Facebook Messenger or whatever, like, hey, nice to meet you. Do you want to buy my stuff? And it's just like we're skipping steps in a relationship, a new
So
relationship.
that's a good question. So if you're creating the ideal website,
Yeah.
does the website ideally just get them into a freebie, as we say, or does your website actually invite them into, say, a training, or does your website invite them into actually purchasing something? What would you recommend for people?
Yeah, the reality is there's a million ways to play the game. And I think that one of the reasons I see that it doesn't work for a lot of business owners is that they don't pick a strategy that directly aligns with them and their energy and their skill set and their team and their budget. And so you can do a free opt-in, you can do a training, you can do a 3-part video series, you can do all these things. But if the strategy is out of alignment with the business owner and who they are and their energy and their skill set, it's not going to work.
Right.
So,
Which is
but
so
it needs to
brilliant if
be
you think about it, because that's what we teach. I mean, that's our entire thing about birthing your truth. And you're really birthing your entire business out of your truth, because it's like they say dissonance, like you can have this great business, but if it doesn't align with who you are or what the actual product is, it just dissonance. People can sense it from a subconscious perspective. So I think it's so interesting to have branding finally be able to understand that that's really what makes the most powerful brands. And we just went over this, even referring back to the book Primal Branding, which I think is a must read for anybody developing the brand, of understanding, like, what are your beliefs, what are your non-beliefs, what's your mantra, what are your colors, what are all that, and it's like that's who you are.
Yeah. And everything's already within you. So many people, and even my own journey, I was always seeking like the next book, the next course, the next software, whatever it was. But everything you need is already inside. It's about drawing that out and then displaying it in a way that's in alignment with you. And you mentioned 2 things. You mentioned dissonance. People are only able to make one decision at a time. Even those people that say that they can multitask, and you multitask very well, but you're actually doing single tasks very, very quickly. You're not doing multitasking. You're not able to make 2 decisions at once. And the other thing is neuroendocrine reactivity, which is essentially our 6th sense, which is we get a vibe very quickly on, is this person legit or not legit? And I think the easiest way to think about it is like the game of, it's like dating. It's like,
I
it's
always
like
use
you
dating
kinda,
as business analogies. Thank you. I think they're the best analogies.
you kind of walk up to somebody and you're like, I like the way they look and they seem
Mhm.
like they have a good vibe, so they're worth talking to. And then you start talking to them and you're like, oh man, we kind of like the same things. And it's about building that connection. And
Right.
so many people are trying in the infancy stages to attract everyone and help everyone. They're passionate about what they do, but there's 7.5 billion people plus on the planet, and it's about getting clear with who you are and allowing those people to attract to you, because there's
So
plenty of
true.
people out there for all of us.
So true. So let's break this down. So one of the things you said, I think, is so true, is where it's like think about it. If you think about the solar plexus of your body, kind of the gut, people start with that, and then they go to the heart. Like, do I relate and do I really believe this person from a emotional standpoint? And then it comes up to the mind, like, does this logically all make sense? And then I think of it coming out of the top of the head, like, is this person actually going to be able to help me, you know, rise in my profession and my personal life and stuff like that. So I love that you say that. I want to take it over to some of the makeovers that you've done have been profound. If you go to Mike's website, you'll see, and this is legit. Like, I don't shout business people out just for business. Like, I genuinely really believe in Mike's work, and he's helped me a lot. And what I love about your website is you show so many websites and brands before and after. And whether you're somebody out there and whether you want to hire somebody that is a brand expert and can help you design the website, or whether you're somebody who doesn't have any money and you want to do it on your own, the cool thing about Mike is that you could go to his website and you could begin to even just learn. You can learn,
Mhm.
and this is what I recommend for all the people in society and whatever. You need to start looking at who's out there. What are their brands? Why does their website look good versus another one? Why, what's before? And Mike has a great examples on his website to show you the before and after of what a good website is, in my opinion, which is really taking people as a call to action, because that's what we're doing as spiritual leaders, as spiritual coaches, as somebody that has a great product that actually is making a difference in people's lives. You want them to have that product because you know it's going to help their life. And so you want to have them take action. They're not going to just go get more information when they go to your website. You're taking them and leading them, because you're a leader, and you're taking them into action. And Mike's before and after will show you how a website can just be like more information versus how it can take them into action. So
And it's really,
one of the
you know,
examples
it's
is
really
Jason Guggen's fitness. So I want you to tell us about that, but go ahead. Sorry about that. Interrupted you.
No, it's totally fine. I think you touched on a couple of things, like how do these things align between your gut and your head, and to understand that people primarily buy on instinct and emotion first, and then they justify that buying decision with logic. And so many times what you're selling isn't what you're actually selling. You're actually just selling the first step. And so that's an important piece, is that so many people rush to try and sell them the actual product or service, and they skip that first step of just, let's start a new relationship and get to know each other better 1st.
Mm-hmm.
But you wanted to talk about Jason Goggins' website
Yeah,
and
because
stuff?
we were gonna pull up some different
Sure.
examples, and of course, Society was a perfect example when he worked with me. Same with Good Morning La Land. Like, my instinct was to just have a bunch of information, and you helped us like really take it down to taking it into a call to action. But let's talk
And
also
I,
about Jason's fitness.
yeah, I think so. Jason's a client of mine, and we're still in the process. And the reason I wanted to bring him up was because when he came to me, things were not only. I think one thing that people forget is that everything matters. It's not just the website. It's how do you, when you Google Dr. Aaron Fall Haskell. I was looking at your stuff last night
Oh, it's
for this
scary.
call,
It's scary.
and
It's
well,
scary.
you just, but the thing is that you're 9 or 10 pages deep on Google
No,
before
definitely
it's
not.
your stuff, right? And so that's the credibility factor. So Jason came to me, and his Facebook, his Instagram, his LinkedIn, and his website all had different starting places. They all had different messages. They all had different looks. And so that's the credibility factor. It's like somebody sees that and they begin to feel like, I don't think this person's legit, or maybe they're just starting their business. because the whole story has to make sense and match. And we're conditioned these days to look to Amazon reviews, to look to Google reviews before we buy. And so we're looking around. And if you think people aren't looking around and digging a little bit deeper these days, you're delusional. And Jason came to me, and his stuff is we haven't built his website yet. His website is still his framework, but we're in the process of getting everything to line up. Same message, same starting place, same look. And so we're working through that now. We're just in the messaging phase with Jason.
Right.
And if you look at that difference between, if you Google Jason Goggins fitness versus Dr. Aaron Fall Haskell or Mike Young, the Makeover Master, you'll see that you and I are 5, 6, 7, 8 pages deep with the same exact message. And you'll see that Jason is kind of all over the place, and about 3 pages in or 2 pages in, it starts to show other stuff that doesn't have anything to do with him.
You bring up a great point, because I still need a lot of that. Like, it's constantly honing, and if you look at the real big boys, if you call them, like, they are on point. I mean, anything, they're branding from every single YouTube video to their website to every single thing. It has the exact same branding, the exact same fonts, the exact same messaging, and like, I've come a long way, and I still need work. So this is my question for somebody who's, so there's like different levels, right? There's kind of the newbie, and they may not know their message all the way. They're still discovering, and that's what we teach. We teach people to do one-on-one so that they can master their framework before they develop their courses, before they do their membership. So let's just pretend someone is at day one versus say I'm at a 8 out of a 10, someone else is at a 10. You know, where would you say for someone that's kind of in that 1 to 3, they're really just beginning, what would be the biggest things they can do in their branding?
Decide. It's about you deciding what your brand position, what your values are, what your messaging is, because until you decide who you are and what you represent, the market's not going to tell you. The market will tell you through feedback, but the market's not going to ever tell you. And so if you wanted to become the chef in LA that only deals with females that are 35 to 36, and we only deliver this one type of food, you can do that. You get to choose. And so many people don't decide, and their messaging becomes all over the place because they just haven't made the decision of who they are and what they represent, and more importantly, what they want.
It's so funny that you do that, because this is exactly what we teach, exactly to the T. It is all, we have like 4 steps in society, and the first step is decide, wake up and decide what you want. And this is really all of it, because the universe works where it'll always send mixed messages when you send mixed messages. So the more clarity is power, for sure.
And it starts to deliver. If you say, and that's what happened. Like, this is back in 2014, 15. I was at a place where I was frustrated, stuck, just like a lot of people. And all I did was decide, and I asked for help. And that was it. And the universe started to deliver help all over the place, and it started to align these things because I made a decision. And so it's as simple as that. That's step one. And we talked about this before we started recording, but this is a never-ending journey. It's a never-ending process. There is no finish line. There's no done. And so even though we have before and after makeovers on our website, that we're still working with all those brands on what's the next thing, what's the next step. It's a layer of credibility.
I'm curious to know also, because what comes to mind through this is thinking about how one of the mistakes I've made in the past, and I've seen so many people make, is trying to do too many things with their brand. Because before just honing down and doing one thing and then building upon that in their brand, you know, because then you got to go out and clean it all up. You know, you got podcasts that aren't brand. You got different of the 20 different social media apps that you've gone onto that you did a half-ass job on, that just doesn't actually it makes you look worse than if you just delete the account, right? So what would you recommend? What gradient? Because we teach gradient. We teach that you should begin with the least amount of technology, start with one-on-ones, and then build the framework and build upon that, and don't go to every platform, things like that. How would you speak to that?
Same thing. It's like building a house. If you build it on top of a weak foundation, it's going to crumble. So you have to start with the strength, and the strength comes down to simplicity and starting with the minimum. And And I think so many people, and part of it is that's a very normal part of the journey. You gotta, it's kind of like going into an ice cream shop, and you gotta try all 31 flavors in the beginning to find out you really like chocolate. And so you do go through this experimentation phase, but that we've got to, in the beginning, you got to go down to one message, one platform, and master that before you begin going outwards. And it'll make your process so much faster and easier, or your path to success as a brand faster and easier.
It's so true. But it's also,
Yeah.
also sometimes we preach to not be perfect. Sometimes it's better to just get stuff out there just for the practice. But I do think that there's a time to go back. And even now, like I'm going through a lot of stuff. We've been jumping on YouTube, and it's very challenging to get all the thumbnails looking exactly the same. You got to go back to all of your old thumbnails. If you rebrand, it's hard because you've got to clean it all up, and it's
Yeah, and I usually recommend people don't try and go back and clean everything up. It's like always an evolution. Like you mentioned the word mistake. I actually don't believe it probably was a mistake. It's just you tried something and
yeah,
you found out, hey, I at one moment in time I got a little bit too wide and spread too thin. And it's like the difference between a spotlight and a laser beam. You know,
right.
laser beam can cut through steel, and a spotlight can, it really just, it's about impact on your people. And so I'd rather have 10 followers and actually change their life than have a million followers and have no impact.
Yeah, I think that's something we need to get over. We need to get over that as a culture, as whatever. I mean, if you take a look at the percentage of engagement, it really just matters the impact and how much. I mean,
Well, and
you
you
just don't
talked,
need
you
it.
said one other word, which was perfect, right? What's the definition of perfect? Somebody's love of hot pink and glitter is another person's worst nightmare. And so there is no perfect. The world's too big. There's too many people. There's too many subjective opinions. And so that's why deciding is so important.
Mhm.
Because if you decide who you, and let's take it back to the very simple basics. Business is simply solving a problem in the marketplace and charging money for a solution. Because when somebody values the solution more than the money they're exchanging for it, then you have a sale occur. And so if you can decide, you can start to attract people that are also resonating with your message.
Right. So true. Oh my gosh. I think branding's fascinating because it brings in psychology. It brings in really how clear you are of your own truth. It brings in what colors you love. What
Yeah.
problem are you trying to solve? What's the hardest thing you had to overcome? And that's usually what has people so passionate. So I'm curious to know, are there some brands out there that you think are, I mean, like if you're like, they've done such a great job on this brand, and why do you think it's such a great brand?
Gary Vaynerchuk is one I think of off the top of my head. And the reason is because it is, so there's a credibility formula. And I'm glad if people want to connect with me, I can share this stuff with them for free. But
Yeah.
credibility just simply says that you're convicted on your decision to become who you are already, which is you're not deciding to become somebody else, but over a length of time, and you're extremely consistent. So the thing about Gary Vee is he's everywhere on all platforms, but his message has been deadly consistent for over a decade now.
Totally.
And so it's you begin repeating these mantras. Like when I think about him, I think about almost anybody that's been following for a length of time knows he wants to buy the New York Jets, knows he's a Russian immigrant, knows he's about hustle, empathy, hard work. Like you can kind of repeat these things because he's been consistent for so long.
So
So
good.
like the strength of the brand is about the consistency of the brand a lot of times.
What's interesting about Gary Vee, because I've been watching him, and I big shout out to Gary Vee. We love you. You've touched all of our lives for sure. Okay. But what's interesting is I will watch it, but I'm not his client in that I'm not going to buy tennis shoes and I'm not buying wine.
Yeah.
And I guess I could become his client if I say I, did his media or whatever. So he does have a lot of niches. It's interesting because I feel almost like Gary Vee, I'm going to give you a little advice here. Right? Like he loses me a little bit because that's not my jam,
That's
if you will.
but that's the entire point of your brand. You want to lose people that are not the perfect connection for you. And
Hmm.
that's the point. You want to,
Totally.
if you think about polarization, it means, if you think about the root of the word, there's two poles, right? North Pole, South Pole. So if you decide and you say I'm going to be right on the equator, you're naturally going to polarize people. It doesn't matter what you do.
I agree fully, but hear me out, okay?
Yeah,
He's got a media company. If he just stuck with his media, I would be his client. I could
yeah,
potentially be, but because there's tennis shoes, then I'm
yeah,
confused. And then there's wine, so I'm
yeah.
confused, which is fine. And I get it. I think that he should be him, and that's why he has the perfect brand, and that's why he kills it, right? So
Well,
it
let me reverse engineer it just because this is a fun topic. But let's just say, is there somebody that you don't want as a client, Aaron? Like somebody that would just drive you insane?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, just people that just aren't
Yeah.
in alignment, of course. Yeah.
And so when you're just yourself, you naturally detract people that are like, let's say somebody
Completely.
that's always negative,
Yeah.
right? They're all, and so if you're when you're just yourself and you're being yourself, it's about building an authentic brand
Yeah.
and where you don't have to fake
I'm
anything.
sure I turn off people. They're like, she's spiritual and she talks about entrepreneurship. That's weird. I'm
Exactly,
out, right? So
exactly.
I completely, I'm just like completely joking. I think Gary's V's brand obviously is on point. There's no question about it. And he's touched my life. And we recognize it through the universe, whether we give value, whether even if I don't sign up for his course, guess what? We're talking about him right now. So it's
And
being reflected back, the value anyway to him, and somebody watching that maybe doesn't know of Gary Vee. I doubt there's one person out there, but let's just pretend and they go fine. So it always is reflected back anyway.
I
But
think
yeah,
that's the entire point of your brand and how to attract your ideal followers is you deciding who you are and what you want and everything else, and then allowing the universe to deliver what you want and being okay with it, having enough self-love for yourself to allow yourself to win and allow other people to win too. And if you can just build that brand around your authenticity and your values and who you are, you're going to attract people that are
yeah,
similar to
1,000%. Okay, so we're coming to the end. I first want to say I'm just I love you as a friend so much. You've
you.
touched my
Same.
life personally, professionally, in so many ways. And please tell people where they can find and follow you and what you do have available for people out there.
Sure. We do a lot of complimentary blind spot reviews because people can't see through their own problems sometimes on their business, why it's not working. They can find me at themakeovermaster.com or on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. You can track me down.
That's probably pretty intimidating for most people to say, come take and audit my brand, take a look at my, website, social media, all that. Tell me what you have to say. We do it all the time in society, and it's amazing when you take a look. You're like, I have no idea what you do. I'll go to someone's Instagram. I'm like, I have no idea what you do. I don't even know what you
Yeah,
do.
exactly.
Like, so you got
And,
to take a look at
and
it from an outside perspective. You can get friends to look at, have Mike Young look at it, have people look at it, and recognize that if they don't know what you do in the first 5 seconds, if they don't know what's in it for them, if they don't have some kind of consistency in your messaging, like
if they
this
don't
is
know
your
where to
homework.
start a new
Hmm.
relationship with you, you've got a problem. And I think we talked about this before the show, which was just like it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to just um, sometimes it's the littlest tweak. It's a couple of words or a couple
Totally.
of colors, and everything starts to work. It's
Totally.
sometimes people are way closer than they think they are.
I know. Well, it's a pleasure. So, if you are tuning in for the first time, we are here live Monday through Friday at Dr. Aaron. We are on all social media. We are on through Connect TV. We're also on Roku and iOS and a bunch of other platforms. But the intention of this show every day is to know the truth, to get our mind right, our heart right, and fully live our truth and birth our purpose and calling. And out of that, I truly believe that our birthright is prosperity. So we come also in entrepreneurship, interviewing and having conversations of how to bring your message and your voice to the world. Because I truly believe that business development is spiritual development. I don't see any separation from that whatsoever. And I truly believe that as we go online in our global community, we also have to come on offline and online with our like-minded community. So please reach out. We have a free community called Inner Circle in Society. You can find me, Dr. Aaron TV, which is DRERIN.TV across all social media. And today, Mike Young is incredible master at branding and makeovers. You can check him out at Mike Young Makeovers or Makeover. What's the website again? Makeover?
Themakeovermaster.com.
There you go. So have a beautiful day, you guys. And let's just end by knowing the truth. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose and exhaling out. just connecting the right and left hemisphere. Our hands go together not because we're praying to a man in the sky, but we're connecting our right and left brain and our oneness within. And in knowing our oneness with our higher self, we're also knowing our oneness with every single person across the globe. And so taking this deep breath in, I recognize that your brand is you. It represents your voice, your message, everything you've ever gone through in life, your suffering, all that triumphs comes to triumphs. And I recognize that that is your message, that that is the legacy. And we want all of you, and we want to help you be the highest version of you and help make a difference in the world. It is more important than ever in today's world to have products, services, and coaches and all the above that are working for all of us. Together we rise. And so have a beautiful day, and may you live your truth. Have a great one, you guys.
Thanks, Erin.
Yep. Okay, let me try and get us off here. Okay.